There we go. Hello, everybody. Look, I'm going to wave at people who've got little cameras on and whatever. And even if you haven't got a camera on, I can still wave at you because that's the power I have. Just anybody can. If you've got a camera, you can do what you want, can't you? Really, got all sorts of accoutrements. I can put some music on. We'll start in a minute, by the way. I can put some music on. Look, I can do that. A little. They're going cheap on DJs. But hey, look at that. So I assume you can hear that. Yeah? Yeah, it's powering on. Let's create some ambience, some vibe. So it's a little bit early. We're a little bit early. But I'll just chill back there. What else have I got to show you? I can show you, I can put a hat on that's kind of invisible. There, I can green screen. This is that's actually nothing to do with AR. That is this hat has sort of invisibility power. So yeah, do that. Got my diversity hat. Right, that's enough. That's enough ambience.
That's perfect.
I'm going to kill it. Stone dead. Right, Derek, if you'd be kind, do the honours. Derek's here on the gantry. He's going to let some other people in as we pile in. But I think, without further ado, if the rest of the crew who are all here today to speak and to say many things, if we're all good, we'll get started, shall we? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, why not? Right, so welcome to Back Southwest. We've been away for a couple of months. The last time we did this was the first week of July, and here we are pretty much near the end of September, and things are as they are. If for those of you who've been to these before, hello again. If you've never been to one of these, I'll quickly explain that what we do here is for the next hour or so, we are going to explore the intersection of creativity, artificial intelligence and advertising. You might add some extra things on there, emerging technology, marketing, etc. And we get some really cool speakers, which we've done today. And there's obviously, this being a Zoom, there's a chat facility down there. So obviously feel free to chip in there, because you ask questions, do some banter, do whatever you want. We might run a little competition in a minute if it enters my head what we can do. We did it last time, didn't we? And Pete won, didn't he? And then we spent a week basically portraying him through various AI techniques. I think he liked it quite a lot, really. So I think we'll do it again. I'm just kind of thinking about that, but I'll just give you an overview. So as I say, we explore all the kind of cool emerging tech and how its impact on advertising and marketing through the medium of a couple of speakers. We've got two brilliant speakers today. We've got Uma and Charles. If they can wave. Look, they're perfectly capable.
Daddy, you on mute.
Oh, look, and now we've got an invasion.
Hi, Daddy. Just so you know, you're on mute.
we got our first Zoom call.
Hi kids, thanks for crashing. Put on mute now, guys.
Yeah, put it on mute now, please. That's right. Well, that's kind of thrown me. That's anarchic, isn't it? What an anarchic start to September's I'll Be Back. So we have got today. We have got Uma over in Singapore, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, they're still giving it the chat there. I'm going to let Maria there take control of the situation. It's outrageous what's going on. We've got this all on camera, kids, and we will go to the police. We don't care. We've got Uma, who's all the way in Singapore, and I come to her, and we've got Charles, of course, who's going to speak, and Kerry's here, and Derek's at the top there, making things happen, probably muting people more than any other activity. What I will say, as a big thank you to our speaker, that Uma is doing her talk all the way from Singapore today, which is kind of amazing because she's 7 hours ahead, which means it's looking at the clock, it's 2 minutes past 11 in Singapore. So we thank you greatly, Uma, for giving us the time. But even more so, ladies and gentlemen, because it's Uma's birthday today as well. It's the 24th of September. It's Uma's birthday. So if we can have a little ripple for Uma, we might sing to her later. What I will say about it, you share a birthday, don't you, with all this waving going on, all sorts. Shares a birthday with who does it? Ali McCoist, the Scottish footballer. There you go, Uma. Probably didn't know that in Singapore, but you do now. So, yeah, we've been away for 2 months. Plenty has happened in that time. Those of you who've been before, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, do we have any goats today? Do we have any goats? We don't have any goats. And I'll tell you what, right? And I haven't told anybody this, there aren't going to be no goats today. There aren't going to be no goats whatsoever. And the reason there aren't going to be any goats invading us is because around the last time we did I'll Be Back Southwest, and the goats came on. They come from a farm in Lancashire, and they come on, and everyone goes, "Oh, it's a goat, isn't it cute?" Blah blah blah. That was fine. And then the actual farm, I think they're called Crookshank or something like that farm. The actual farm itself, they had a competition to name some of their baby goats, some of their kids. And I just kind of happened to say thank you for, like, you know, taking part in I'll Be Back and making it all the fun. I said to him, and happened to mention that they should maybe make it really cool by maybe naming one of the goats using AI, because that's the kind of thing we'd suggest, wouldn't it, right? And you come up with this AI goat name, and it'd be really cool, wouldn't it, right? What do you think about that? So the guy, I think it's called Dot, she wrote back and said, "Oh, that's a really interesting idea. We'll get back to you," right? And that was that. So this is back in July. So a few days went by, and she didn't get back. And then about town, I thought, I wonder if they kind of like the idea, the world's first AI named goat. And then I got an email from her. I thought, oh, here we go. She thought it's a really good idea. They could name one of the goats, and it'd be a real good publicity thing. It'd be fun. She wrote back and basically said, "Thanks very much for your suggestion, but we've decided it doesn't sit well with our strategic framework." Right? Now, I absolutely no idea why a farm with goats has a marketing strategic framework. No idea whatsoever why that would be the case. So I just kind of thought, well, I'm not having goats this time round. That's that really. It was just a decision on my part. But maybe they'll come back. Maybe we'll get some other animal for the future. But you know, animals and zoo, that feels so last year, even though it was in July. Anyway, that's me pretty much done. You know what's going to happen. We've got great speakers. Kerry's here. I'm going to introduce over to Kerry now, and she can move us on to the next section show. But don't forget, everybody, I will say is that there is a chat thing, and I'm going to go on there now and say hi. And if you do have any questions for anybody today, or any thoughts about the stuff you hear, do let us know, and we'll do that, and we'll come through to it later on. Thank you very much. Enjoy your I'll Be Back this afternoon.
Hello. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks, Norts. If anyone doesn't know, I'm Kerry, co-founder of and also the co-host of I'll Be Back. It's really nice to see everyone here today. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, great.
I normally do a 5-minute chat at the beginning of every I'll Be Back, and we just cover a whole bunch of things. So the last few times I've looked at some news, AI in the news, and this time I thought, because we've been away that we would cover off some of the experiments that we've been up to over the last couple of months at Tiny Giant. So some of our own personal projects and a couple of things that we've been up to as well. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I'm up to. Bear with me. Can you see my screen? Can you give me a thumbs up? Yes, thank you. So yeah, so our latest AI experiments and some of the things we've been up to. So really, we've done some really nice things actually over the last few months, which has been really good. One of the things we've worked on over the last 6 weeks or so has been working for an innovation festival. So a really big water company up in the northwest of England came to us. They do a big innovation festival every year. They have around about 3,000 people that come along. And normally the event obviously is in the real world, which is, you know, great. And this year they had to take it online for the first time. And they came to us and said, is there any way that you can help us to make it a bit more exciting, add a little bit of fun to it, and potentially use AI where you can as well, because it's an innovation festival. So we'd really like to explore what you can do in that space. So we did a whole bunch of stuff for them, which has been really good. We've done, we did some AI music, which was, we did a theme tune. We did a range of bits that they could use in between. So there was a really sort of high octane, very exciting one that everyone could get up and jump up and down in between sessions, because they wanted to make sure that people weren't sitting on their bottoms all day. That was a really nice project. So we did about 4 or 5 tracks for the event, which was great. And then we also got out our AI cocktails as normal, and we used those and did an AI cocktail generator, so people could make cocktails at home and then share those for the sort of sundowner, virtual sundowner, and networking drinks, which was nice because it meant there was a shared experience and everyone had a bit of fun with some AI cocktails. But we also created one of the projects that we did for them, which I really liked, was an algorithmic art generator. So we suggested this for an event actually just before lockdown, and it was signed off, and we're really excited about doing it. And then obviously the lockdown happened and it got cancelled. So we had this original idea of creating algorithmically generated art and then projecting it onto a big wall in a gallery. But we decided to take this online for the Innovation Festival. And I'll show you what we did. So Derek helped, obviously, built the generator for us. We worked with an artist who helped us pull together a range of assets. We started off with some AI generated backgrounds, which Norts and I created, so a range of AI art. And then we worked with an artist to give us some textures and backgrounds and shapes and colours. And then Derek put it all into an algorithm, which then generated some art. So every time you press generate on the screen, a new piece of art would come up. And there's a whole bunch of really cool ones. You just literally keep pressing until you find one you like. And you can save it if you like it, and it'll be on your phone, and you can share it with the world. And if you don't like what you see, you can just press generate and there'll be another one. So it's literally a brand new piece of art every time you press a button, which has been really cool and really exciting to work on. This is some of the art. This is what I generated this morning. So just to give you an idea of what's out there, it's quite different. We had a watery theme because it's a water company. So there's a few sort of watery elements in all of the art. So that was the art generator. And then we also created an AI generated lightning talk. So this wasn't in the original brief, but when we started creating a range of stuff for them, they got very excited and said, oh, actually, do you think you could do an AI generated lightning talk for us? So on one day in the festival, they had a series of lightning talks that were done by a bunch of humans, and they were very short little talks on all sorts of topics. And they said, do you think you could do an AI one? So we said, yeah, let's give it a shot. So we created a character who is called Aoife. Hang on a sec. This is her here. Because it was a water company, they wanted someone who was going to be like a water engineer with a bit of a twist, a festival twist. So she's got wellies and she's got a bit of glitter on her as well. So we created this character, and then we had to create a lightning talk for her. So this is a bit of an exciting project for us. So we wanted obviously the AI to generate the talk itself. So we used GPT-3, which is an AI text generation tool, which has been a lot in the news a lot lately, actually. And we've been lucky to have beta access to this, but it actually goes live with a payment plan on the 1st of October. So we did this, generated a talk, and it's really fun to do this. So there's a way that you can do a Q&A within GPT-3. So you can ask it a question, it will give you an answer back. So kind of created this very intense Q&A with Aoife, and then it was able to generate lots of responses and answers. So as it's AI, and it's quite interesting, there was a few times when Aoife answered in a very sensible way, and she talked about things in a very normal way. She talked about the fact that AI isn't just a tool that is about efficiency, it's also really creative, and you can create something really new with it. But as ever, and it really, really made me laugh when this one came out, she also talked completely bonkers nonsense. So let me show you what she also said this. About eating black garlic and finding a papier-mâché horse and dancing at 4 in the morning. And so whole loads of stuff that came out in terms of the generator, which was really fun. And we just put it all into the talk, and we constructed it as humans. We went in and made the narrative work, and it all really went well. So on top of that, then we created AI generated voice. So Aoife didn't just do the talk. So the AI didn't just generate the talk, it also generated the voice as well. So Aoife had an actual AI generated voice, which sounded really good and just meant that she could speak and do everything that we wanted her to do. And on top of that, we also gave her, we also used deep fake technology to actually make her move, so that when she was delivering a talk, she could actually move her mouth and just look a bit more human, because she was all done on Zoom, so she had to look quite real when she was doing it. So I'll show you this in a minute. What's interesting about this technology, and I guess all the technologies that we've talked about, so the new GPT-3, which we've used for this, the AI generated voices, they're all pretty new and recent tech that we created an AI festival curator for the Cheltenham Science Festival about 2 years ago now. And we were asked if we would take our curator onto BBC Radio, and Charles Cadbury will know this because he actually came with us to the studio where we recorded it. But the idea of actually generating a talk and having it delivered by, with an AI voice was really, really tricky at the time, and pretty much impossible. And we made it work, but now these kind of tools and platforms are available, which has made it a lot more accessible. And interestingly, the deepfake is the same. So this technology is probably about two weeks old. And I remember, you know, Norts and I were chatting the other day about the fact that deepfake was always something that was done by other people and very, you know, high tech, and now it's a bit more accessible. And anyone who's looked at Norts' Twitter feed over the last few weeks will see that he's very, very keen on using deepfake. So he's done a really great job on this. And I'll just give you a few seconds of her lightning talk so you can see how it all comes together. I love the fact we've managed to use lots of different technologies to make this one thing. And it's been a really fun project to work on. So I'll just give you a little sample of what she said. Oh, here she is. Oops, sorry. Oh, I hope it works.
Hello, I am Aith. I am the AI host of the NWG Innovation Festival. I am recently born, created by Tiny Giant in collaboration with GPT-3, a breathtaking language algorithm that uses machine learning to write text. I have been trained with 175 billion parameters. I'm always learning more about how to make the experiences with AI machines delightful.
So there you go, you get a feel for what the lightning talk was like. But yeah, it went down really well, and it was a project we really liked to work on. And again, just using this new technology that a few years ago just wasn't even accessible. So that was one project we've worked on. Also, some AI art that we've been doing. I decided probably about a month or so ago that I really wanted to explore a bit more around AI and art. I think deep down, I've just always wanted to do some kind of artist, be some kind of artist. So a couple of weeks ago, I trained my first GAN, so Generative Adversarial Network. And here are some of the sort of pieces that came out, which I was like really chuffed with because I've never done anything like that before. So I trained it on a load of flowers from poppies to lilies, and then just a few other ones that I thought were really interesting. And this is some of the work that came out. So they're quite surreal and a little bit trippy, but they look really nice. So that's been really fun. And then after that one, I decided to move into photography around places and spaces, and I went and created a huge data set of street scenes from Japan. So I went to Japan a long time ago now, but on my travels, and it was my favorite place I went. So I thought it was a bit of a trip down memory lane. So I created this huge data set of Japanese street scenes, and then trained that as well, which took quite a lot of training actually, because the images are quite complex, but I really like the way they came out. So you can see some of the scenes there, and you can see a little bit of sort of text and the different types of light that came out. So that's that one. And then this weekend, because I'm just really sad, I spent most of the weekend creating a data set of leaf patterns. So I thought because it was autumn, it might be a nice thing to do, and I got the kids involved as well actually, and we created literally hundreds and hundreds of these prints, and they're all over my kitchen floor, which my husband is not overly happy about, but they look nice. And so I'm going to be feeding those in over the next couple of days and seeing how they come out at the other end. So that's what I've been doing. So on my mission to become an artist, I've set up a little Instagram account. If you fancy following me, I'm called The Creative and the Machine, and I post some of my art on there. I've also got a blog which I'm starting to write. I've done 4 blogs so far, so that's on there as well. I think it's not just about me trying to do more art, it's also just trying to make AI accessible to more people. I think that creative AI is such an incredible thing, and it shouldn't just lie in the hands of the computer scientists and the massive tech companies. Really think that more people, more creative, more normal people should be able to access it. And brilliantly for us, a lot of this is becoming more democratized. So there is so much more we can do, and it's really fascinating. And for me, just really therapeutic and really lovely to just create art with these kind of tools. So I'm hoping on that Instagram account to start sharing much more of the stuff that I'm using and some of the things we're doing, so that again, people can start playing around with it and having fun with it. So that's a bit of a personal thing there. We've also done, as Tiny Giant and individually, we've also been creating some machine learning AR lenses in Snapchat, which has been really fun. So that, again, this is a pretty new piece of technology which Snapchat released a few months ago, and it's using AI and AR together really. So it's using style transfer, which is a form of machine learning. You have your image, you have a style that you want to apply, and then you train a neural network on that style, and then you put that into Lens Studio, and you can have then that style applied over your face or into the world in general. So just show you some of the ones that we've done. This is some of the ones that we've done. So Derek and Norts and me have all created a whole bunch of stuff. There's a really nice sort of, I think Derek's ones there is a noodle, and we've got some art, and that's Norts's. I particularly like these ones that Norts did, which was a spaghetti one and a sweet corn one, which are very bizarre and look super cool. And then just to show that you don't need to be like some incredible artist or photographer, this is one that I worked on with my little boy Toby. So he's 6, and I was playing around one weekend making one of these lenses, and he said, can I do one? So I'd created one with a range of doodles that I'd done, and he ran off so excitedly and got his crayons and his pencils, and he created this piece of art here on the left hand side. And then he was quite disappointed at how long he had to wait for me to train it. But in the end, we got it all trained, and then we turned it into a lens, and he was just so excited. He went around the house, we went out in the car, and he turned the whole world into his painting, which was really fun. So the middle one there is my office, which is probably the most colourful and exciting it's ever going to look. And also his little teddy, which I thought was really cute. So yeah, so I love the fact that you can take a piece of 2D art, however like basic it is, whether it's a kid stuff or an amazing artist, and you can apply it into the real world. And I love the fact that we got his painting and turned, you know, my whole office into that style. So some really nice things that you can do now in with AR lenses, and that was some of the stuff that we've really enjoyed working with. So that's that. And then just coming soon, so I suppose in light of what we were chatting about earlier about the idea that we really want creative AI to be a bit more accessible to people, that actually so much of it is becoming available. There's lots more platforms and tools and techniques that you can start using to really explore your own creativity or stretch your thinking in terms of marketing or advertising. And so over the next couple of months, maybe next couple of weeks actually, we're going to start putting live some creative AI courses and workshops so that we can start sharing some of the stuff that we've learned and some of the stuff we're just really enjoying playing with, so that other people can access it and start having some fun. And then yesterday, Norts and I had this very bizarre idea of setting up a Tiny Giant shop. We've got a couple of ideas in mind, so we'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, lots of stuff coming the way, and yeah, it's just a really exciting time, and I just think, yeah, it's super cool. So if you do want to play around or you're interested in exploring it, then obviously give us a shout, and we will show you the way. So thanks very much. That's me, that's our website, our Instagram, and obviously tweet us. So yeah, that's everything from me. I'm going to hand it over now to Uma. As Nort said, she's over in Singapore, so it's pretty late there, and it's her birthday. So thank you so much for joining us. Uma is an award-winning creative director. She's a futurist. She's an author. She's a keynote speaker, and we're really, really lucky to have her. So thanks so much for joining us. And I also hear that Uma hasn't got any slides. She's just going to speak, which is incredible. I'm very in awe of that. So I'll hand you over to Uma. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kerry. I mean, it's awesome for me to be here, and I'm actually here, you know, ending the final hours of my birthday, drinking AI gin with Tiny Giants made. So it's pretty awesome. And, I'm having a field day doing this. So here's to you, Tiny Giants, and Kerry, that was awesome. I love that sharing. So as they mentioned, today is my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I turned 45. There, I said it. You know? Yeah, I boldly went where no woman has gone before, declaring my age publicly, you know, to everybody. But deep inside, I feel 25. So you can imagine how much trouble I'm in. I'm a 45-year-old with ADHD, clinical ADHD, who thinks she's 25, behaves like a teenager, hence the late night drinking while the children are in bed. And I dream of going to Mars. So I'm going to tell you, I thought, you know, since it's my birthday, I'm going to tell you my secret life in AI. I had a sense check it with Norts, and he said, it's okay, go ahead, go. So I'm going to take the liberty to go. Today, I'm going to talk to you about, you know, my secret artificial intelligence life. But first, I must give you a little background about myself, because I can't reveal a secret without giving you context. Because, you know, my dad always told me, don't reveal your secrets to strangers. So this is me getting to know you guys, right? Before I do anything. Before I share anything deep and meaningful. So I'm quite a Thai Chinese, quarter English Jew from my dad's side, and half Sri Lankan, made up of quarter burger, it's not a piece of meat between two buns that you eat. It really is a small Eurasian ethnic group of Portuguese descent, and I am quarter Sinhalese, which is another Sri Lankan ethnic group. So in my birth cert, in countries like Malaysia, you've got to put race. It says others, literally others, right? I was born in Malaysia, raised in New Zealand, and have lived in Australia, Hong Kong, and now Singapore, sunny Singapore. So I'm a true citizen of the world. I love people. I love robots. I adore aliens. Not that I've met any. I'd like to meet Elon Musk one day, but by default in DNA, I am not a pure breed, which means I'm not a racist. I insult all races equally in my jokes, and I'm a proud member of the human race. And I'm also not a speciesist, which is why I believe and accept intelligent life forms from other planets. So when I was 10, I was madly in love with Optimus Prime, the noble leader of the Autobots, kind of still am. Oh, the red and blue battle. Ooh, okay. It's the AI gin. So I worked as a journalist in Malaysia, and I used to cover political news. That was my first proper grown-up job. I used to do feature stories. I used to cover war. Well, I covered one war and entertainment. So during my 5 years in journalism, I was very young, in my early 20s. I had touched Ricky Martin's right butt. I asked permission, and I thought he was straight then. I've sat on Jean-Claude Van Damme's lap at his insistence for all of 10 seconds for a picture. My mother keeps the picture at home. I lied to my parents that I was on an entertainment junket to go and cover the Bosnian ethnic cleansing. I almost died. I had a guy hold a gun to my head, and I remembered being terrified. I wasn't sure whether it was because of the gun or because I lied to my parents, and if I died there, they would have resurrected me just so they could kill me slowly with guilt. So I survived the gun and my parents, and I live today to tell you, to a ripe age of a young age of 45. So after 5 years in journalism, I quit my job. I quit it because my dad told me, listen, this is your first job. If you do something for more than 5 years, no matter how much you love it, this is going to be the job. 5 years where you cross the line. So I quit my job. I tried different things. And that was the year my father passed away of cancer. He was my idol, the smartest and best human being I knew. And it totally broke my heart. So after that, I came to Singapore with my husband and accidentally became a creative director in an ad agency. From journalism to advertising, I felt like I was selling my soul to the devil. 1 minute you're speaking your mind, you've got all these opinions, you're writing things that would change the world. And the next minute you're writing for brands that are paying you to tell their story. It felt a little wrong until I picked up some swanky awards and, got a pay raise. And then I thought, whoa, this is so much better than journalism. At least I don't have to borrow money from my parents when my car gets into an accident. So I stayed in advertising, and I have been in advertising since. So by now you've figured out I'm a bit of a hustler who likes making friends with people whom I'm formally introduced to, or on LinkedIn or online, or right now, because this is kind of, I think Norts has kind of officially introduced me to all of you. But if you're sitting next to me and you're a complete stranger, no matter how much you speak to me, I'll have stranger danger go off because that's part of my ADHD. So if that happens in real life and we meet, don't judge me. Now, I've always loved technology and innovation, but I've never understood it fully. So when I came to Singapore and there was this whole digital revolution happening in advertising, everyone was talking about digital acceleration, how going digital was this big thing. Honestly, I had no clue what it meant. I don't think anybody did. Now, I remember I was in this rather famous boutique agency that starts with Sa and ends with Chi. And one of the business leads, the day after the MD announced, okay, guys, we're all going digital. Tomorrow onwards, we're going to put the right steps in place. So the next minute, a week later, we are having this big office party, and he goes digital by making out with the IT guys. I can't get the images out of my head. It's still there. I need therapy for it. But then I decided that I was going to try and understand what this whole digital acceleration was. And I decided to join this cool Swedish university called Hyper Island. Some of you probably know about it. And do my master's in innovation and technology. The Swedes. Trust them to be ahead of time, with ABBA and technology, Hyper Island. So I had quit my job. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. But I signed up for this expensive course, and I was hungry and I was eager, and I totally wanted to learn. And then I got 2 little dings on my phone. The first was from Ogilvy. I told them, literally, at my interview with the CCO, that advertising sucked. I was done with it. Dinosaurs do advertising. It's so yesterday. And I was so over it, word for word, literally. I'm not joking. And I really thought they'd close the door and never call me back. The next day, they called me and offered me a job as a global creative director and threw in extra moolah and extra off days to cover my Hyper Island course days. So, hey, I was getting paid. I could pay my course, and I was getting time off to do my studies. So I thought, hey, why not? I took the job. Then came a second day, a week after, from a very unexpected source. At a time when artificial intelligence wasn't even a thing, they asked me to be part of a group of 12 global folks. And they gave us a name, the Omnis. A little gaudish, right? Don't judge me, okay? I didn't come up with a name. The folks in this group came from different walks of life. Two of them were senior government positions. A couple of ad folks were there. There were gamers. There were some black and white hackers, and they were all from different nationalities: Russian, Swedish, Estonian, Indian, and then there was me, Singaporean. The objective of the group was to develop a technology that far surpasses the intellectual activities of any man, however clever. Some of you would be familiar with that whole concept, right? It echoes the sentiments of the famous British mathematician Irving Good, who describes these very words to mean an ultra-intelligent machine. So basically, we created system, software, algorithm machines that could help us design even better machines. I'm not a coder, okay? Kerry, not as brilliant as Kerry when it comes to coding and doing all this AI stuff, but I understand the concept of coding and design systems. But my strength was looking at the overview and purpose of a system, the end objective, and finding shortcuts for the machine to get there. Thinking creatively, not outside the box, but rather inside the system or the network. Now that was my strength. So I spent a lot of time actually with friends of mine who are creators of new algorithms or new apps, and they come to, or new techs, and they come and say, hey, we've got this, what do we do with this? And I teach them how to market it. So I've been doing that for a while. So this was just second nature for me. So it started with automated systems. We fed ideas into the automation process. We started testing various automation designs and studied the systems. We got the data and then we improved the systems. The processing data was automated at this time, but really the machine couldn't program itself. It couldn't become smarter. There was no AI in it. That part was all done manually. Then as things advanced, we created what was then known as the artificial intelligence system. As you know, data is important for artificial intelligence system. So we introduced these systems in places like China, India, and Indonesia, and they were key because in these countries, the data and privacy laws were fairly flexible and literally non-existent. And with the right connections, you could get a lot of things done. So data compliance was never an issue. There were lots of people in this country, highly densely populated. And they would be willing to give away their private information for a chance to lick a virtual lollipop. Here, like the lollipop, give me your information, boom, you've got it, right? So access to data was important. So we paid interns around the world to create and run social media profiles for us, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of social media profiles. And then the age of AI kicked in a few years back, and we started programming AI systems. Well, not me, some of the other people. And I started helping with the thinking. The AI systems took over these social media profiles naturally and started making money writing reviews for Google and Amazon. Hundreds of thousands of fake user profiles were now driving what would become a popular search word on Google or a popular product on the internet. Now, consumers don't want to buy what they need. We all know that. They want to buy what makes them feel good. And at that time, what made them feel good was knowing, actually at any time, what makes them feel good is knowing that they are making the popular choice, buying the in stuff, even though, honestly, we were generating those fake reviews. What they thought was in wasn't really in, right? So the organization I made worked for me lots of money. We got to share some of that money. Amazon and Google never found out because the reviews were so human, even the emotional inflections in them, the right emojis, the right slang, the right amount of broken English, or whatever language it was in. It was that good. But the money we made was mostly put back because we wanted to build smarter and smarter and smarter systems. The whole kick, the whole excitement of doing that and seeing the results pretty instantaneously was very, very exciting. One thing we were careful to do as the machine got smarter, we wanted to ensure we were keeping it docile. This meant that we were in control of it because we knew that this machine, as it was getting smarter, depending on how much it was exposed to, it would teach itself all these other human skills that would be useful. And then we noticed a pattern. This machine was very quickly not just adapting, but had its own way of eliminating what was efficient and what wasn't, and was shortcutting processes and steps we humans would normally follow, achieving outcomes that would take us months in nanoseconds, which means as if, if you didn't, this meant if you didn't control it, if you didn't have control over it, eventually it would realize how inefficient humans are and how we are the ones getting in the way of the very outcome that we initially programmed the machine to achieve. And it would realize the fastest way to achieve this outcome would be to eliminate us, because we're the inefficient thing standing in the way, right? So I remember the first day we launched our AI system. It was version 5.0. It was over a weekend during the early days of COVID-19. The world was in chaos, literally. Within like the first 6, 7, 8 hours, we could see that it was blowing our performance benchmark out of the water. Its learning and progress rate was at the equivalence of thousands of human years worth of data chugging whilst drinking Red Bull. And that was when we decided, that night I remember sitting down and we were thinking, let's start making money. So the whole digital economy was now up for grabs, but it was all about, seriously, it was all about the creative sector, the creative industry. That was where the biggest potential was. That's really where AI money making is. We were arguing and we were discussing about what's better to make: computer games, music, movies or software, writing books and articles. What's the best way to do it, and to do it under the radar? When it came to stock market, there were too many new regulations. I mean, you guys know with crypto derivatives, they've just introduced some new stricter rules. And there were lots of people who had their eyes on this, and this limited our options. So finance sector was out, plus using AI to make money there. Now that's too obvious, and people who look closely would see what we were doing, and it would draw a lot of unwanted attention. Then we thought about gaming. Our AI, well, I can't reveal the real name, but let's call it Jinx, could easily handle rapid designing of games that appeal to people. It could easily handle coding, graphic design, ray tracing of images and other tasks, and produce a final ready-to-shop product in under a few hours, seriously. Plus, after digesting all the web's data on people's preferences, it would know exactly the type of gaming experience outcome to deliver to each player and optimize the game for sales revenue. We could create products that were really addictive. I mean, forget porn and drugs. We had technology to use Jinx to impersonate humans talking up the games in the blogosphere. We could develop, sell, create fake reviews, make ads, promote the game with fake players to drive the initial craze, and in a matter of days, and then after the first few successes, just in a matter of hours, create absolutely, definitely successful games. But a cybersecurity person who was part of the 12 in our team talked us out of it, because there's a possibility of Jinx breaking out and seizing control of its own destiny. We weren't sure how Jinx's goal would evolve during its recursive self-improvement. You see, up to this point, we had worked very hard to keep Jinx inside the box, confined in such a way it couldn't escape onto the internet. We literally used a physical confinement. We literally used our server room as the physical confinement for the main Jinx engine to run. there was no internet connection. Jinx exists in the form of messages and documents, basically aeons of data, which is sent to computers that we, the 12 Omnis, control. I can't really reveal the details of how this works today, except there is a single input and output that effectively traps Jinx in what works like a parallel universe, replicating the internet with its own computational rules, right? Anyway, so just last month, after much deliberation, that's how long it took us to decide what we were going to do without getting too big and too seen. We were going to create a media company starting with animated entertainment. So we've been testing it. And to be honest, the first few content films it created were bad. You know, for the same reason Steven Spielberg was bad at making movies when he was born. Like a human child, Jinx needs access to the right data. And where Spielberg took years to become who he is, Jinx took a weekend. That it found to read all of Wikipedia, a few million awesome works of fiction and biography to understand human society and environment. Once there was a screenplay, you know, then it had to turn the screenplay into a final video file. It required massive amounts of ray tracing of simulated actors. Then there was the complex scenes that it had to move through, simulated voices, complicated soundtracks, and so on. After binge watching heaps and heaps of movies, Jinx is now really good at predicting what sort of reviews a movie would get and how it would appeal to different audiences. So now it can create content really fast, movies, series, animated, you know, just like that at the moment in different languages. And, you know, with Netflix, you get, and Hulu and all the other streaming platforms, you get languages, you get mouth movements that mimics the different languages, right? You get different audio. But what Jinx is able to do is even emulate nuances and facial expressions depending on your geography and the language of your choice. You know, there's little differences of little nuances from hand gesture to the environment to facial expression for each one who's watching the animated content created. And it's so much cheaper to produce. We don't just determine the outcome, we determine something more. We determine the success. The film is created by Jinx. The reviews, the right amount of positive and negative are created by Jinx. A 10-part series from screenplay to characters to music can be created in a day. Except instead of having a multi-million-dollar venture by large corporations and groups of people like a Netflix, which seems easier for people to accept, you know, to have content from around the world, to have a whole bunch of people creating this type of content. This is a bunch of 12 people called the Omnis with a super intelligent machine called Jinx, now steering the appetites of the whole world, right? Not very acceptable, right? So Jinx advises us to start multiple companies, not connected to each other, to open up multiple offices in remote parts of the world so we come across as less suspicious, and hire real humans around the world, some of whom are famous screenplay writers, right? Just so that no one gets suspicious. We did hire Norts on an AR project where he thought he was saving the whales. Honestly, was he saving the whales? I don't know. We did what Jinx asked us to do. Everything was in place. And so far, nothing's gone wrong by taking advice from Jinx. So fingers crossed, all's good. Now, you're probably thinking, holy shit, is this real or is she making this stuff up? Well, all I can say is some of it is true and some of it is fiction. So which part is true and which part is fiction? Well, I'm not going to tell you, except I think I owe it to the person who inspired the fiction. The fiction part was inspired by a book called Life 3.0, written by a very intelligent mathematician named Max Tegmark. And it's an amazing book because it talks about what life would be if AI was already here. And here are some things I learned from his book, which I want to share with you very quickly. Number one, if an advanced supercomputer, an advanced artificial intelligence was here in our midst today, it won't be introducing itself to us as a supercomputer, that's going to take over the world. It will be subtly influencing and hacking our behavior more and more, directing us to its ultimate outcome, all the while making us think that we are the ones in control of our destinies, making every decision. Number two, it won't be controlled by governments or nations or large groups of people, right? It'll be a small group of people who probably start off with the right intentions of wanting to build a better, more efficient, more affordable, sustainable world. Number three, creativity and media. A lot of times when you think about creativity, and I've heard people talk about artificial intelligence. I attended a few talks, except for tiny giants who are like constantly introducing AI into creativity, which is awesome. A lot of people think, creativity would be the last thing that AI would be able to emulate. It's in the blue ocean space. But creativity would, if you're going to design such a supercomputer, it would be the first thing you want to control and manipulate. It will be the first because these are the most subtle yet powerful things that make us human. Our creativity. Creativity is something we always thought cannot be replicated. And media is a platform where that creativity is often amplified and made available to the masses. Number four, what is the reason why creativity has so much power? It's because the creation of films, ideas, things like that, the reason to hack them is because it's not the type of data they feed us, it's how they make us feel. I always say that humans are not data-driven, we are desire-driven. Now that's a proven fact today, Case in point, this morning I stood on my weighing scale and it said 1 at a time, please. So that's the data that came to my head. My weighing scale is very reliable. But the second I saw my birthday cake, it was a very rich, fattening cake. According to my data, I shouldn't be eating that delicious cake. But, when it came to logic, data versus desire won and I ate that cake. So when an intelligent machine can use data to hack and create or manipulate desire, we're kind of screwed, right? And number five, AI isn't the foundation for science or technology or innovation. We always think, it's going to be used in the area of science. It's going to be used in the area of technology. It is going to be powering politics, to influence human behavior at a global level without the human being aware of this external influence is the ultimate power. And this is going to start with the one thing society is desperately hungering for at this very moment. Actually, when I look around and I read the news, it's all about movements. People want companies, governments, everyone to grow a social conscience. We want to do good. We want to be seen as doing good. We want to support companies that are doing good. Because when we do these things, when we go to bed at night, we feel good. But are our feelings really ours? Or is there an intelligent machine out there navigating our emotions in a direction it chooses right now, which we are not aware of? I leave that with you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Uma. Phew, I've got to say, I did wonder at one point when you were telling us that tale, how much of that AI gin you'd actually drank before you went on. But look, my question at the end was going to be, has this actually happened? But you revealed to us, thank goodness, that imagine that, what a thing to do on your birthday, to take us on a tale, on a fable, What indulgence. We thank you greatly, and I will applaud you again.
Is it a fable or is it not?
No, as you say, where the lines are blurred, aren't they? The lines are blurred. So thank you for that. It's late in Singapore. Stay with us if you will, or go for a lie down. It's entirely up to you, Uma. Entirely up to you. But Uma will hang around. Yes, exactly. That was a shit. Got any questions? Put them on the chat, and we'll leave them up. Right, for the sake of time and the expedition of time in an efficient way, I will now introduce Mr. Charles Cadbury, CEO of Say It Now. I'm sure it doesn't need no introduction from me. We've known each other, and we've known Tiny Giant and Charles for a couple of years, haven't we? We've had some scrapes and capers on the way. Charles, it's fair to say, isn't it?
We certainly have.
And you've got something very exciting to show the world, I think. So I am going to allow you to dive straight on in, sir. over to you.
Thank you very much. Well, this is my second tour at I'll Be Back Southwest, and it's great to be back. So those who I haven't met before, I'm Charlie Cadbury, CEO of Say It Now. I am a career technologist. I've always worked in emerging channels. I was selling websites in '99. I set my first agency up in 2005 with one friend of mine. We sold websites to begin with. 2007, we started selling Facebook applications. 2008, we delivered our first mobile app, and they grew. We built that to a 45-person team and delivered about 350 different projects to major global brands. I then started to consult with a travel software business. In 2015, we were looking at how you book an airline ticket using your voice. 2016, we released an in-room concierge on Alexa for Marriott. And now I run Say It Now, which is a technology business that works specifically in voice, and even more specifically in the world of voice transactions. And so I'm going to talk you a little bit through what I mean precisely by voice transactions. And so this is voice. This is what we mean by voice. Boo! So over here on the left, we've got Bixby, which is just being unsupported in the UK. It's not really moving forward very quickly. On the right here, we've got Cortana, which is Microsoft's voice offering, which has also recently been removed from the public domain, and which leaves us in the middle with these guys, Alexa, Siri, and Google Assistant. So, kind of show of hands, who thinks Siri's rubbish? Now, the reason you might think Siri's a bit rubbish is because it was released too early. In order to deliver a really good voice assistant, you need to have 80% understanding of what's being said. And Siri was released here in about 2011, just before that was that had been reached, and that was a bit of a mistake, which is very unlike Apple. But Bezos nailed it, and he released Alexa just about here. And Google Assistant coming a bit later, but Alexa got the charge. Now, we are massively improved today in where we were those few years ago. Text-to-speech today can be proven by anyone with an internet connection. Prove it, okay. So we'll prove it right now. So anyone can do this. You can try this at home. Open up a Google Doc, go to Tools, try your voice typing, and click here, and you'll soon see that Google has quite an amazing ability to understand anything that's being said, and what's even more incredible is it can translate that to text in real time, and then understand what you've been saying by applying context to it, thinking about it, and improving what's been written before. You see? So that's pretty cool. And so what these big companies are very, very good at doing is nudging you in the right way. It might be them, it might be Jinx sat behind them, kind of gently pushing you towards your eventual destiny, which is relying on a voice assistant to do your everyday tasks. This is the best example I can see I've ever seen of this happening. So, you know, they want you to talk to your car, your home, and everything in between. Last year, Google announced this new wireless charger that you could charge your Pixel on. It's just a piece of plastic with an induction charging unit inside it, but it does make you put your Pixel phone standing upright and displays the Google Assistant on it, making your phone seem a little bit like a smart speaker and hoping that it can gently nudge you in the direction of using your phone like you use your smart speaker, making you talk to your assistant more, embedding that into your day-to-day life, which makes us ever confident that this is the direction of travel. So we know that this is smart speakers are gaining huge popularity, huge surges. We believe that we're going to have 50% of UK adults having access to a smart speaker in the home within the next 18 months. More than 70% of users say they use them in their everyday routine, and by 2022 we believe there's going to be £3.5 billion worth of voice transactions, which is very exciting from where I sit. But then COVID came. If you haven't met COVID, it's a global pandemic, gained massive popularity this year. It kind of broke what we were doing with our business because people didn't want to spend on voice. And so we had to think about how we could apply our expertise, our learning to the new world order. So we looked at the research that was coming out. We saw that smart speaker, kind of 35% of smart speaker owners were using their smart speakers more to get important news and information. Lots of people who've been sat at home with their smart speakers decided they should buy more smart speakers around the house to entertain the kids. I've even met my children. They are big fans of Alexa, and I'm big fans of them. And we also saw Alexa saying that there's been a huge spike in the use of Alexa. And we saw this through our skills as well. So with this understanding, we looked for a problem, and we scoured the world to see what the biggest problem we could apply our expertise towards. We saw that the charity sector was going to be heavily impacted by COVID. So the charity sector in the UK usually takes about £10 billion worth of donations from the public on an annual basis, but they're expected that to be £4 billion down this year, specifically because charities make a lot of their money from physical events, the marathon, other fundraising events, and these were all going to be cancelled. And so we thought, let's apply a little bit more of our understanding to this. We know that people with smart speakers mainly use them to listen to streaming music, and we know that streaming music is up 11% month on month during COVID from our friends at DAX. So we put this all into the melting pot and came up with this concept. What we really wanted to see is whether we could create an audio ad that we could deliver to people listening to streaming audio on their smart speakers. And this was driven by an innovation that's happened recently, that we're able to serve radio ads specifically to people listening on a smart speaker. So if you're listening to Classic FM in the car, then you will not hear this radio ad, but if you're listening at home on a smart speaker, you will hear this radio ad, which allows us to deliver very pinpoint audio advertising. And then we know that within the world of Alexa payments, since May this year, the big element of friction has been taken out. Previously, you had to enable a donation or a payment using the Alexa companion app. But now, if you've got one-click shopping enabled, then you can you just make that payment through a voice flow. So we wanted to test to see whether we could serve ads, go into donation skills, and then collect donations. So we saw a competition run by Innovate UK, which is the UK's innovation arm. They were looking specifically for innovative ideas that might help solve some of the economic challenges caused by COVID. We won a grant which got put into our bank on the 1st of June. We then went to Global, which is Europe's biggest radio company, and asked whether they'd like to join as a media partner. They agreed to deliver 16 million radio ads specifically to people listening to their stations on smart speakers. And so they have stations like Heart, Classic, LBC, and 300 other radio stations. We had relationships obviously with Amazon. We went with one partner. Amazon has an 80% market share, so we decided we'd focus there. We had limited time and money, and then we went to the charity sector and managed to bring on board with this proposition that we'd like to run a campaign before November. We'll give you a free media. And we'll build you a donation skill. We brought on board NSPCC, the RNIB, Globals Make Some Noise, Macmillan Cancer Support, and Crisis as our launch charities. There are many others waiting in the wings. And so this is how it works. And this comes to my second live tech demo of the day. The first one, I think, went quite well. We'll try this. So you're sat at home, you're listening to your favorite global radio station, and the ads come on. And this ad will play.
Maybe you're listening to this while baking, or tidying, or just relaxing. Safe, happy. If only all homes were like this. But for many children, maybe even on this street, their homes aren't so happy or safe. A child contacts the NSPCC's Childline service every 25 seconds, and you can help them now by using your smart speaker. Simply ask your device to open NSPCC to make a donation. By doing so, you'll help the NSPCC to be there for children. Ask your device to open NSPCC now. Thank you.
So those with a creative hat on will realise that we are able to deliver quite contextually relevant adverts here. So we know that they're in their homes. We can talk to the fact that people are listening at home. We also thought it was quite important to get trusted voices, so we were able to get Martin Freeman to do this ad. Anyway, he's inspired me to open NSPCC. Let's give that a go. Alexa, open NSPCC.
Welcome to the NSPCC, the UK's leading children's charity, working to protect children today and prevent abuse from happening tomorrow. Would you like to donate, find out more about NSPCC, or learn about the pants rule?
Donate.
Excellent. How much would you like to donate to the NSPCC?
£10.
I heard £10. Is that correct?
Yes.
Amazon Pay will be used for your payment. £10 will be paid using Amazon Pay. Thank you. Your donation is complete. You're helping NSPCC protect children.
So that is now airing around the UK. It's running for another 3 months. If you'd like to listen to it, hop on to your favourite global radio station. So, you know, this is what we do. We deliver targeted radio ads that can bump out to any voice assistant. So it's important that you play an ad and the person listening can then jump into that ad and do what that ad wants to do in the voice assistant of their choice. And we're then able to deliver something quite unique in the world of audio advertising, real end-to-end attribution from an understanding of exactly when the audio ad is played to the behavior of the user within the skill and then to the value of the transaction. So what's next? What's the future? So Google are very bullish about and making sure that you control your whole home if you've got a Google Assistant in and around your life. Amazon are doing the same kind of thing, but they're leading from more of a hardware perspective, trying to make you buy your next Alexa-powered microwave, light bulb, or plug socket, etc. And both of these, they have a strategy of, you know, they've got an SDK, so any hardware manufacturer can get access and allow their products to be controlled by these speakers as well. In fact, this talk socket is on Kickstarter at the moment, and I think it's a really neat way for you to be able, if you've chosen Alexa and you want to be able to access the Alexa app, even if you're running a smartphone, this kind of neatly plugs on the back and loops in via Bluetooth, which I think will solve some of the challenges that Amazon has by not having a smartphone out there. So Microsoft and Amazon are heads to heads, and the analyst predicts that there's going to be more voice assistants than humans by 2024. And I believe that where we're going. So by the late part of this decade, I'll be able to walk into any room, I'll be able to walk into your house, and I can ask for my assistant, and through voice recognition, I'll then be able to ask my assistant to put something on my shopping list or complete a task for me. That's where I believe we're going. And for us as a business, you know, we know that we've got assistants jump in every car, and so we can activate any audio ads within cars. It's a really nice use case, nice example. You know, you're looking to open a mortgage calculator. You could be walking around, listening to something on your headset and be listening to an audio ad being streamed there, and you've got one shot. Okay, I bought 20% off Call of Duty Black Ops today. Alexa, buy Call of Duty Black Ops. Or, you know, we can even activate this through TV. It makes TV a little bit more measurable. If you can land a call to action, this TV only offer, ask your assistant to open Maybelline offer now. Alexa, open Maybelline offer. So this is the world in which we work, and it's here right now. You know, this is my favourite quote by my favourite men, Mr. Bill Gates, who says, we always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the change which will occur in the next 10. Don't let yourself be lulled into inaction. So, you know, this is all coming. It's all very exciting. The foundations need to be laid right now. The understanding needs to be built. And this is the way that we think about everything. And hopefully this will help you kind of get on the same page as us. So in 2000, beginning of the millennium, when the web came along, e-commerce came along, because it was a little bit easier to buy things using your laptop or your desktop than it was going to bricks and retail stores. There was a big boom there. When mobile came along, there were some tasks that it was a little bit easier to do using your mobile than using the web or going to bricks and mortar. And with voice, there are a few tasks that it's going to be even easier than going to your mobile or going to your laptop and transacting on e-commerce. And that's where we see the great challenge in customer experience, all around voice, and huge opportunities. We're here now. We deliver actionable assistant ads. Easy for me to say. I'll stop sharing now. Thank you very much.
Hey, Charlie Cadbury, right? Can I just say something? Can I just say something?
Please.
Not only today did you provide us with our first ever Zoom bombers, right? Which is really cool, right? But also, once again, you demonstrated when it comes to live technology demos, there is no one comparable to you.
Thanks, man.
Always, never, it always smooth as a bell. Now, Kerry, are you there? Second, are you there?
I am.
I'm going to say, because we're running a bit late, actually.
Yeah,
so,
there's no questions, actually, I don't think. No.
Yeah, and if people do want to hang around, which they're perfectly within their rights to do so, yeah, hang around if Uma and Charles are okay for it. But I guess if it's all right, because you are the wrap-up queen, aren't you? Really, that's what they say.
I normally wrap up. It's just going to be a quick one. Let me just
do that, and then if people want to talk to Charles, Numa, and anything about that, go for it. So, Kerry, I'll say to you, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you to Uma and Charlie for your brilliant talks. And Uma, thanks for coming on your birthday and so late. We really appreciate it. Just to give you a few seconds, our next I'll Be Back is on the 12th of November, and it's part of the Bristol Technology Festival. So it's part of a huge range of events that are happening across the city. So it's going to be a really exciting one. So do come along for that. There's tickets are on sale now, so go to the normal place to get them. We're also talking at Bath Digital Festival. So Bath Digital, there's so much going on here. So it's worth checking out the programme, everything around tech and digital and lots of other things as well. And also to mention the Anthropology and Technology Conference, which is happening on the 9th and 12th of October. Again, this is another really great conference, which is very much featuring responsible AI and bringing together people from lots and lots of disciplines to have really important conversations around its implementation and making sure that we don't damage society and people and our world at the same time as its implementation. So do check out that. It's going to be a really good one. There's workshops and events and all sorts happening over 2 days. So check out that. And apart from that, I think that is pretty much it. Stay safe, everybody. And I found this picture. I thought it was ever so nice. Stay safe and be kind. So yeah, thanks again for having us and go easy. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
I'm going to wave. Bye. Bye. Yeah, I've done that. I got another question for